Welcome back, brothers and sisters of Christ. My name is Brianna and I'm back with another video. And for today's video is stop judging Christians. So everyone talks about how Christians are judgmental and everybody talks about their experiences, their bad experiences with Christians, which, I understand that. But it's not talked about enough how we as Christians also get judged just as much, if not more, for being Christians. The looks we get, the things people say, the things people do just because we are Christians. You don't even have to say anything to no one, but if they find out that you're a Christian, they instantly begin to judge you. And what I notice is that people project their bad experiences with other Christians onto Christians that never did anything to them. Okay? And although I'm used to it, it's also really frustrating on our behalf because people assume that you're a certain way when you're actually not, just because you're a Christian. You know what I'm saying? They're comparing you to people that you don't even know. You never did nothing to people and people treating you wrong and they saying mean things. They assume that you're a hypocrite. They assume that you're judgmental. They assume that you think you're better than them. And honestly, the list goes on and on and on. They just make all these assumptions, which is ultimately judging us and they don't even know us. Just because we're a Christian. But a lot of times, they don't even know you, yet they say these things about you, and that, my friend, is judging. They will call you judgmental without actually knowing if you're judgmental, which is literally being judgmental. Because you're only saying this because I'm a Christian, but you don't even actually know me. You don't know my character. You don't know who I am. And it's interesting to me that people, do this because they will actually not like you for being a Christian because they feel like you're judging them. Okay, when you're not even judging them. But then they turn around and judge you because they assume that you're judging them because you're a Christian. And on top of that, their definition of judging is not even right anyhow. Let the world tell it. Judging is telling the truth. If you tell the truth, then you're judging in today's society. And I understand that there are some judgmental Christians. I experienced a few in my life. But 95% of the people are not even actually being judged. Okay, I literally watch this like on a daily. I seen it in my personal life. I seen it on YouTube. Someone may have just tell someone the truth, and they didn't like it or they didn't want to hear it. So they called it judging, as we all see today. I literally had someone say this on a Bible study like a year ago. She was saying that someone was telling her something and she didn't want to hear it, so she said they was judging her, and she admitted that she knew that they weren't even judging her. She just said it because she didn't want to hear it. Okay, so this is the type of world we live in, and it was a lot of courage. I respected her for admitting that, but it just like proved my point. I'm like, I knew it. I knew that people are aware of the fact that they're not being judged, but they just throw that card out there to make themselves feel better, to not really face the conviction that they're feeling, I guess. So, and something that I learned is that just because I feel judged doesn't mean that I'm being judged. Okay? So for an example, if you tell someone that you shouldn't be going to the club as a Christian, like you say something like you shouldn't be doing this or X, Y, and Z as a Christian, they may feel judged and say, oh, you're judging me. You know what I'm saying? But it's not judging. It's the truth. You know what I'm saying? As a Christian, we know what we ought to be doing and what we should not be doing. So I'm telling you the truth, baby, in love and in correction. But a lot of people would turn around and say that's judging. Oh, she's judging me for still going to the club. Judging you is like pretty much like degrading you and acting like I'm better than you and acting like, but telling you like, sis, we should not be doing this as Christian girl. Like, we gotta, that's not judging. But a lot of people will still call that judging. If you tell someone they're going to go to hell for being homosexual, because this is the most common one that people say they're being judged about. I've seen many street preachers deal with this one. That's not judging. That's the truth, because that's what the word says. You know what I'm saying? Again, they may feel judged or they may try to say that you're being judgmental, but you're simply just telling them what the word says. So we see a lot of that going on in today's society when you're telling someone the truth and they're saying they're being judged. So that's why I say 95% of the people that claim they've been judged by Christians are not being truly judged. They have just been told the truth and they didn't want to hear it, so they said that they're being judged. Now, like I said, I know that some Christians are judgmental. I've came across some. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I've met many people that are not Christians, don't proclaim to be Christians, and they were the most judgmental people that I have ever met in my life. So, I just don't put people in categories anymore. I won't say that I never done that before, but since I've came to Christ, I don't put people in categories because I get to know people for who they are now. You know what I'm saying? I don't judge people based on nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that, you know, I look at people, I can't look at people hard, but you know what I'm saying? I try to get to know people for who they are and their spirit. I don't just judge them because they're associated with a group of people. You know what I mean? But I've seen, you know, people roll their eyes and frown their face up because someone said that they're a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Or even if they don't say anything or, you know, do anything, the energy change. There's, you know, it's just a shift in the conversation after you say you're a Christian. You know what I'm saying? I've heard people try to tell a Christian what type of person they are without even knowing them. You know what I'm saying? That we're being literally discriminated against at this point. Like, I just seen a clip of a YouTuber, you know, that I watch here and there, who said when he goes to restaurants, he tells people about Jesus. So whether you're telling people about Jesus or not, you still should not be judged. You know, they're judging him because they know he's a Christian at the end of the day, because he's telling them about Jesus. So he said that people will purposely treat him bad because of this. You know, he said they would give him cold food. He said they wouldn't come check on his table much. They wouldn't refill his drink. They would literally do the bare minimum because they know that he's a Christian, because he done talked to them about Jesus. He done said something about Jesus. But guess what? He also said that he still tipped them well. And he said that multiple times, like, people have asked, like, did he mean to tip them? And he said that one time a lady even came running out of the restaurant asking him, did he mean to tip what he had tipped? And he said yes. And she said, why did you do that? And she admitted to purposely mistreating him. She didn't say it was because he was a Christian, but you put two and two together. That's why. That's the story that he was telling. So she was like, why did you do that? I barely came and checked on you. I purposely bought your food out cold. Like, this is the type of people that we're dealing with, y'all. This is the type of stuff that Christians deal with for being a Christian. She admitted to treating him poorly. She didn't say it was because he was a Christian, but that is why. If she never knew he was a Christian, she would have never did it. And he said back to her, because Jesus loved people that didn't love him back. And he talked about how Jesus washed his disciples' feet or something like that. His enemies' feet. I don't know. I don't even remember. But it really upset me that he was treated this way for simply being a Christian. But I love the way that he handled them. Because, you know, it will give those people something to think about on why would they do something to someone who did absolutely nothing to them. Just because they identify as a certain religion, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever the case may be. But in this case, we're talking about religion. So just because someone is a Christian, this person never did anything to you personally. Yes, you may have had bad experiences with other Christians, and you probably don't, you know what I mean? But this particular person have never did anything to you. But because they said that they're a Christian, you treated them wrong. So, you know, and it's important that we still practice the fruits of the spirits in these situations, just like this young man did. Because like I said, this will give these people something to think about. I believe that a lot of these people, for the simple fact that he said that she ran out the restaurant and asked him why, she couldn't comprehend why he still treated her that way when she knew she purposely treated him that way. So I know that when those people, I know that when they got home, or when they got back in their restaurant, I know that they thought about those things. And they probably won't do it again. Some of them probably won't do that again because they're like, wow, you know, it may make them realize that every Christian is not the same, and I was wrong. I shouldn't have did that. You know, he did nothing to me. You know, I feel like when, you know, that'll make someone evaluate themselves. Okay. But I'm so glad that he handled it the way that he did, because most times people also want to provoke us as Christians. They make it their duty to see us, you know, snap and get out of character, so they can say, see, I told you, they're all fake, they're all hypocrites, they're not, you know, they're this, they're that, whatever. You know, it's like they're trying to, a lot of people are wanting to prove some type of point about Christians, and they want all of them to act, you know what I'm saying, like a Christian that they dealt with. You know, they would try to push certain buttons so you can react in a certain way so they can say they're all the same, and that's why I treated you this way. But anyway, stop judging. Stop judging, period. Stop judging Christians. Stop putting us all in one category. Stop being judgmental. And people think, like I said, that only Christians can be judgmental. But like I said, I know a lot of people that are judgmental that are not Christians. Okay? And that's the thing. When you hear the judgmental word, they only throw that out to Christians, I notice. Like, you don't really hear people use that on the day-to-day basis to normal people in their day-to-day lives. But Christians say one thing is judgmental. Meanwhile, we're the one being judged day and night. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is their own individual person. And another thing that's interesting to me is that people, you know, they act normal. You know, they act all cool and stuff before you state you're a Christian. But when you say that you're a Christian, like I said, the energy would shift. And, you know, that's also strange to me because some people are just simply Christian haters, apparently. Because if you connect with someone, whether it's friend, relationship, whatever the case may be, and you've been connecting with them, and the moment that you find out that they're a Christian, everything changes. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? It's just strange to me because you're judging them because you automatically took your mind to some place like, oh, they're probably judging me. Oh, they probably think this. Oh, I bet you they don't do this. They don't do, you know what I'm saying? Like you're running all these things to your mind that you think, but you have not yet confirmed. You don't know these things. You know what I'm saying? So get to know people for who they are. You know what I'm saying? As Christians too. You know what I'm saying? Because some Christians judge other Christians. We see that a lot as well. You know, we got non-believers judging Christians, atheists judging Christians, other Christians judging Christians. Like, I just feel like don't judge anyone. Get to know people for who they are, Christian or not. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is their own individual person. And, you know, because nobody wants to be judged based on their race. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be judged based on nothing. Nobody wants to be judged in general. But we just shouldn't put everybody in a category, and we just need to get to know people for who they are. But I think people fail to realize that they are actually judging Christians, okay, on a daily. But I don't think they care neither. But I do think it's something that needs to be talked about and addressed. So we don't talk about this much. We hear people talk about all the time how Christians are judgmental, but nobody talks about the fact that we are judged and that we are treated wrong for being Christians because people are judging us and they're projecting and all this different stuff. So, be kind to people. Like, just be kind to people. Treat people how you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I'm big on that. Treat people how you want to be treated. And the Lord is big on that as well. Because what you put out in the world will come back to you. Okay? It will. But if this word is not for you, it's for somebody else. Remember, I'm telling y'all this because I love y'all. God bless.